Ever since Satoshi Nakamoto released Bitcoin's decentralized network, a number of people have doubted its sustainability. And over the years, some individuals have gone so far as to deem the project dead. Each time the price of Bitcoin takes a drastic correction, famous people, journalists, economists, luminaries, and many more have written long winded essays on why the cryptocurrency is sure to fail. Because of this, the website 99bitcoins.com began maintaining a list of Bitcoin obituaries that have been written over the years. And so far, Bitcoin has reportedly died a total of 408 times. On tonight's episode, we're going to look into some of these Bitcoin deaths and find out exactly what the truth is behind it. Let's get scholarly. Welcome to another episode of Crypto Talk Tuesday. I'm your host, Mario Johnson, president and founder of Crypto Scholars LLC. And as mentioned before, tonight we're going to talk about why Bitcoin keeps miraculously dying and somehow coming back. You know, it has these self-healing abilities that allows it to come back every time it's been written off as being dead. So I was doing my research on Bitcoin throughout the years that I've been, an advocate for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole. I would notice that, a lot of people and the naysayers were getting to the point to where they would pretty much get to start calling Bitcoin dead. A lot of people want to call it a Ponzi scheme. A lot of people want to, say that it's a scam. From what I've learned is that a lot of those people who make those claims, they either got burned by, I guess, some people who were using Bitcoin in order to orchestrate a scam. Back in the early days, I've seen posts about people who got affected by the Mt. Gox hack, which, believe it or not, actually started out as a game site when Magic, the online gathering site, I think is what it was called. Magic the Gathering online, something to that effect. But needless to say, they got burned by that. Left a sour taste in their mouth. Some people just missed the boat. Or they feel like they missed the boat as to where they could have got in. At a much lower price. People got into Bitcoin back when it was 1, 10, 100, hell, even $1,000. And they had the opportunity to get in on it at that time. And because they didn't, unfortunately, they may have a little bit of what I want to say, jealousy is a good word, or envy. They could also have some envy. So because of that, they say misery loves company. So they'll try to put FUD out, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, to stop other people from taking advantage of it because they feel like they missed the boat. So, of course, those of us who are crypto proponents, we understand that, certain people react certain ways when things happen negatively, so that they feel as though they aren't able to take all advantage of the gains, get in on Bitcoin while you can. And I came across the website 99bitcoins.com and their Bitcoin obituaries, where they literally track the number of times that Bitcoin has been reported as being dead, as reported to going to zero. It's definitely going to fail, things of that nature. So because of this most recent correction that we just had over the past 10 days, I think the correction lasted, where Bitcoin took like a 26% dip. Here we go again. The articles are coming out. This is it. Bitcoin reached the top. I knew it was a bubble. I knew it was a scam. A lot of different articles are being released. And a lot of different, people on YouTube and other platforms are pretty much writing Bitcoin off yet again. And what was it? Sunday night? Yeah, Sunday night. Bitcoin took that reversal. It went right back in the direction that we knew it was going to go in, and now it's heading back. It's closing on green candles again, so it's heading back in the upward direction. Now, one thing a lot of people don't understand, especially people that are coming over from the stock market, is that 20, 30, hell, sometimes even 40% corrections in the Bitcoin market, in the crypto market, that's healthy for the crypto market, because you got to have those pullbacks. We look at them as buying opportunities. Whenever there's blood on the streets, the sharks come in looking to feast. And then, like I've always told you guys, when the red days are the days that I like to go shopping. So, especially when you look at, the charts and you look at the metrics, and it's showing that, there's still a lot more gas left in the tank. We're not at the end of the bull market, as people like to say. We're potentially in the middle. So we still have a lot more ground to cover, a lot more way to go. But you got to have these situations. You got to have corrections. Nothing goes straight up. Nothing will ever go straight up. If something's going straight up, the further up it goes, without any type of volatility, without any type of corrections, the harder it's going to crash. So I look forward to red days. For one, I'm becoming a trader, not only an investor, but I'm also becoming a trader. So it gives me the opportunity to sharpen up my trading skills and, put longs in, especially in the bull market, because you can, try to do some shorts if you want to take that risk. But in the bull market, you just wait for pullbacks because it's going to bounce off and head right back in the direction that you wanted to go in. So that allows you an opportunity to really increase your gains, stack them sats, as people like to say. So what I did was, again, I looked through the Bitcoin, the 99bitcoins.com, their obituaries page, and saw the different articles and things like that. And it's just amazing. It's not just, random people writing about this. You got big media, corporations, trying to put the FUD out. And as we've discovered over the course of Bitcoin's history, is that a lot of the companies that were talking bad about Bitcoin, advising people not to buy it, they were actually buying it, and they were buying it by the boatloads, and they're continuing to buy it. There's a lot of metrics, a lot of data that has come out that shows where even in this most recent correction, a lot of Bitcoin was bought. I think was it Grayscale? I think they added another $1 billion into their Bitcoin trust. So these guys are buying up all the Bitcoin. I actually made a post about it before we get into it. Sorry, I know as I tell you guys all the time, I'll go down those rabbit holes. But I actually made a post about it as to why they were potentially, of course, this is all speculation on my part, tinfoil hat moment, but why they were potentially pumping up the coins that actually have no use case, like Dogecoin. There's a reason why they were pumping everybody, directing everybody to go over to those coins. Another one is SafeMoon, which is a clear. If you look at the actual white paper, if there's a white paper, I read the white paper, it's like 3 paragraphs long. It's a bunch of BS. But if you look at the smart contract of SafeMoon, it's a clear Ponzi scheme. Until they change the code, everything about that is a Ponzi scheme. So I don't understand why people are piling into it. Maybe because it's fractions of a fraction of a fraction of a penny, and people look at it as a cheap investment. But you have to change that mentality. I'm gonna circle back in a minute here. Again, another rabbit hole I'm going down. You have to change your mentality when it comes to investing. Don't think of it as how much it costs, because of the fact that, especially in the crypto market, you can buy fractions of it. So look at what its current market cap is. And when you look at its current market cap, that will give you a really good idea of, whether or not you should make that investment. Look at how much it's, going up over the course of, the past week, the past month, the past 3 months, the past 6 months, actually do a little bit of research on it. And don't think about, well, it costs this much. Think about it as, I'm going to put in this much. So like for me, giving an example, when I go to make an investment into any project or anything for that matter, especially related to crypto or even the stocks. I don't really get in the stock market. I bought a little bit of Coinbase stock or whatever. But when I'm looking to do a crypto investment, I tell myself is, okay, today, at the time I'm going to make this investment, I'm putting in, I'll give it a nice round number, $1,000. Okay. Based off the market cap, based off the projections on the research that I've done, if this project does I'll give another round number, 10x from here, because this is my starting point. My $1,000 can turn into $10,000. Look at it from that perspective. Don't look at it from, well, Bitcoin is $55,000 per coin. I can't afford a full coin. Well, you're not, your goal is to eventually get, full Bitcoins or whatnot, for long-term investment, retirement potential. Cause I tell everybody Bitcoin to me is my savings account. That's my retirement account. But also look at it from, you're going to invest $1,000 into Bitcoin. Hopefully you're going to get dollar cost average. That won't be your only investment. Again, not financial advice, just telling you guys what I do, to the point to where, and you're tracking it. So today, Bitcoin's $50,000. By the summer, let's say Bitcoin's $100,000. You just doubled your $1,000 investment. So look at it from that standpoint. Think of it from the mindset of, I'm starting at right here at this particular number. This is my zero. This is my starting block. And every time you make a new investment, that also is your starting block for that new investment. So, when every time we have a dip in the market, I may put some more money in. Say I put in another $1,000. Okay, this $1,000, its starting point is whatever the price is at that time that I've made that new investment. So when you look at it from that way, start thinking about it in that regard, then the numbers start to add up. Because it's like, okay, it's not that it costs this much. It's that I put in this much and I'm looking at a return of potentially getting this much in the future. So anyway, all right. So that was my quick little spiel on how to, how to have a different perspective on the way you invest. Don't think of it as, it costs this much per coin or this much per share, especially now that we can do fractional investing. Think of it from a standpoint of, this is how much I'm putting into it with the potential to get this much back. So, all right, now let's get into this 99bitcoins.com, their obituary. This site is awesome. And it's open, open source. You can submit, a particular obituary, and I'm assuming they'll review it before it's actually posted. And, once they deem it a valid source or whatnot, there you go. So as I said earlier, Bitcoin has evidently died about 408 times so far since it was released out into the wild, since it actually became a functioning protocol. Now, like I said, the oldest reported death of Bitcoin was December 15, 2010. And this was, I pulled that site up. It was a blogger who evidently was on a rant. He was trying to, like he just got pissed off at Bitcoin, was trying to relate it to inflation, deflation. It looks like he had a bit of understanding. Maybe he had potentially read Bitcoin's white paper. But it was funny what he was saying. But what I want to focus on, when I was going down the list and whatnot, because again, as of late, as you can see, even this month, these three articles here, one was by CNBC. The other one was by the Manila Times. I'm definitely going to talk about that one. And the third one was also by CNBC. But if you notice, look at the dates: April 19th, April 20th, April 23rd. That was all last week. That was all when we had that, 10 days of Bitcoin having this correction at a 26% drop. And these always, it always happens. They always release these types of articles when there's a, I like to say, just when there's blown the street, when there's a healthy correction, because I don't want to say they don't understand the crypto market, because these are highly intelligent people. I think it's because they overstand the crypto market. They overstand that these are buying opportunities, and you can't buy what's not available. So if I can convince you, the everyday person who may not have a working knowledge of, how revolutionary the Bitcoin technology is, if I can convince you to sell your Bitcoin that you may be holding on to, I get to buy it, and I get to buy it at a much cheaper price than it would normally be had I not, convinced you otherwise to start selling. So it's funny. So what I want to talk about and what I want to go over, starting with the first ones, this guy here, Steve Hanke. I'm an avid watcher of Kitco news, and they've had him on a few times to discuss monetary policy, to discuss Bitcoin, obviously, and other things. But he is adamant that Bitcoin is going to zero. Bitcoin has been going to zero since he learned the word Bitcoin, in his opinion. And the quote here that I had highlighted is of him saying, like, what's the fundamental value of Bitcoin? The fundamental value is zero. The flow of income generated by Bitcoin is zero. It's not like money. Money, broadly defined, most fiat monies have a fundamental value because they pay interest. If you look at the 14 components of M4, I don't understand why he's going off the M4 money supply, because the M1 money supply is the most accurate. But anyway, they changed it. They move the goalposts every time there's a new metric that needs to be coming out. But stay focused. If you look at the 14 components of N4, that's the broadest measures of money in the United States. 10 of those components, like treasury bills, pay interest. Bitcoin doesn't pay interest. Well, the question that I would have to that in rebuttal is, not just gold, just holding gold, physical gold doesn't pay interest. It pays no dividends at all, i.e. it's considered a store of value. Bitcoin itself is likened to physical gold. We refer to it as digital gold. I think it was originally planned to be transactional, but it has definitely secured its place as more of a store value, likened to gold. It's not designed to pay dividends. It's not designed to interest. Interest, for those who don't understand how that system works, interest is debt-based by default. It's that way by design. You can't pay interest on the fiat. And when I say, I'm gonna refer to it as money, but it's really just fiat, which means it's backed by nothing. But you can't pay interest on money that's not created. And I say that in regards to how money is actually created in our current fiat system, in our current financial system. The only way money can be created and put into the economy is by taking out a loan. So you take out a loan from a bank, the bank creates, this money out of thin air, and they give it to you. But the problem is they give it to you with interest attached to it. So say we start at zero. You're the very first person on the planet, or in this current financial system, I'll give an example, who goes to the bank and takes out the very first loan. Okay, you take out a loan for $1,000. We're gonna keep this simple. You take out $1,000 loan. That loan comes with 10% interest. So in order for you to pay back that $1,000, you have to give them $1,100. But where in the hell the additional $100 come from? You get what I'm saying? It's that's why they call it a debt-based system, because the only way for it to grow, the only way for you to even be able to pay back the loan plus the interest is for someone else to take out a loan with interest to pay you, and for that service is pretty much how velocity works. So if say I'm Mario and I take out a loan for $1,000, it's got 10% interest on it. I got to give them $1,100 back. I need $1,100. Well, say John, he also is an entrepreneur, or he's looking to make a purchase based on credit. He goes to the bank. He takes out $1,000 loan. That too has 10% interest. He's got to pay like $1,100. Well, now John can buy something from me that's going to cost X amount of money, or we're going to transact in that and do a trade. And needless to say, it's going to take a lot more people to create more loans, to take out more loans, to create more money to be introduced into the economy in order for that first person to pay back that loan. To me, that sounds like a Ponzi scheme if you ever heard of one. Because you need more people to come into the system to create more dollars to be pushed out into the economy in order for the first person to pay back the person at the top of the pyramid. So that sounds like a Ponzi scheme to me. It sounds like a pyramid to me. But anyway, see, I went down the rabbit hole again. My apologies, guys. But that's just, one person who has a lot of influence, who has a lot of recognition of a long list of people who's been swearing that Bitcoin was going to die for the longest time on this article here. This person says it will be ugly. Bitcoin Bear gives two reasons why he thinks the bubble, everyone refers to Bitcoin as being in a bubble, is going to burst. And he's quoted as saying, I don't know where it will end or how it will end, but it will end. A guy's named Stephen Isaacs, who's the chairman of the investment committee at financial consultants, was at Alvin Capital. Now he's saying, and when it ends, it'll be ugly because there will be nothing there. Now, see, the problem that I have with that is that people who make these type of comments, they only know Bitcoin on the surface. They know Bitcoin from the understanding of our current financial system. They don't understand how Bitcoin was coded. It's all protocol based. They don't understand the rules that are built into the algorithm of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is true sound money. It's self-cleansing, it's self-healing. It is, to me, from what I've seen so far, especially from reading the fundamentals behind it, it's it's the most fair system that I've ever seen introduced in humankind. Since the beginning of what we call money, since the beginning of currency, since the beginning of trade, it always had something attached to it. Back when dollars were backed by gold, that was somewhat fair. Only problem was you still had to trust that the central authority had the gold that they were claiming to had the actual physical gold in their possession that they were claiming to have that was backing the dollars. Hence, which is why we, as time progressed, we slowly got taken off the dollars being backed by gold because it became a point to where the bankers realized that, hey, we can print a hell of a lot more dollars and put a hell of a lot more people in debt and become way more wealthy. Once we kind of separate ourselves, once we detach that requirement, once we detach that backing, and because of the fact that the world is pretty much at this point transacting in some form of fiat. Right now the dollar is the world reserve currency. It already has name recognition, is already trusted. It was an easy transition. Most people didn't even realize, because they gave it the same name. It used to be called greenbacks, then it transitioned over, and each time, there was a change in policy. It was slowly being removed from its actual backing. Anyway, all right. So going to the next article, Black Swan author calls Bitcoin a gimmick. And a game, says it resembles a Ponzi scheme. Well, if you guys have been with us from the beginning, you'll know that one of our videos, that one of our episodes that we've done, we actually broke down whether or not Bitcoin could be considered a Ponzi scheme. And through everything, all the evidence that we kind of provided in our, I guess you could say, in our thesis, in our argument, showed that it couldn't be further from that. And believe it or not, like we just talked about, the current fiat system, that could definitely be defined as a Ponzi scheme. But it's a well orchestrated Ponzi scheme that everyone's kind of agreed to at the moment. Because if right now, every person who's indebted in dollars decided that we were going to pay every dollar back, it would literally be impossible to pay every dollar back that has been issued, because every dollar that gets issued, like we talked about before, has interest attached to it. So it's truly impossible to pay back your debt. It's truly impossible to pay back for everyone to pay back that loan, which again requires more people to be into the system, more people to participate in order for it to continue to go. Because as soon as everyone decides that, we're going to live a more austerious life, we're going to live in austerity, we're going to live below our means, not above our means, then the system collapses. So that's just yet another article that's talking about Bitcoin being a scam. Now, next I'm going to talk about a guy who I follow, really highly intelligent guy, billionaire, who runs Bridgewater Assets, Ray Dalio. And he was one of the, I'm not going to say he wasn't he wasn't truly talking bad about Bitcoin. He had his concerns about Bitcoin in the beginning because of the fact that he felt like it would be banned. He felt like, once governments realized that it was starting to eat away at their, their monopoly, it was starting to kind of take power away from them. They were going to shut it down. So he came out talking about, the potential for Bitcoin being banned, how investing in it was not going to be a good idea. You're really taking a risk in doing so. Now, he made that statement, I think that was back in like 2017, 2018. It was in the earlier years of that. And here recently, he's changed his tune. He's now saying that it would be a good idea to allocate about around 20% of your portfolio to Bitcoin. Now, for a person who was, concerned, I would say, about Bitcoin pretty much going to zero because of the fact that it would be banned, I asked myself, well, what would cause, him to, or anyone for that matter, because we have a lot of other people who were huge critics of Bitcoin who seriously spoke out negatively of Bitcoin, saying that it was definitely going to go to zero, things of that sort, who have now changed their tune. When you come to find out, well, we've kind of been investing in Bitcoin for quite some time. So I dug a little deeper, it says, well, wait a minute, his fund, since, the whole lockdown situation took place, they've been struggling, they've been bleeding, they've been trying to find capital, and come to find out, you got a lot of your top clients pulling out, taking money out of your investment, out of the funds that you offer. And then you ask yourself, well, why the hell would they be pulling their funds, pulling their money out? Now I'm speculating. But if you're invested with a company, with a group who's managing, your portfolio, and they refuse to add a asset class, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. They refuse to add Bitcoin to the portfolio, and you're watching this thing go up, hundreds, some years, thousands of percent. And they're sitting there asking the question like, well, why won't you add this in? And they keep telling you, well, it's going to crash, it's going to crash, it's going to crash. But here we are, 10, 5, depending on when these people start catching on to it, we'll say 3 years later, and it's continuing to go up. And you've missed the opportunity to make all those gains. And in essence, you're actually losing, 15% return by being invested with this company. Well, guess what you're going to do? At some point, you're going to say enough is enough. We're going to pull out. And I'm speculating that because of that, we have a reversal in your attitude, because as we all know, money, money drives, businesses who don't make money go out of business. And if you're, losing clients because of the fact that you refuse to accept what's the future, which I've accepted the fact that it's kind of obvious at this point that Bitcoin is definitely going to be the future unless something dramatic happens. When you refuse to accept the future, you're going to go out of business. You're going to go business fast. They call it getting blockbustered. If you guys aren't familiar with that particular phrase, it's a situation where, remember when Netflix went and had a meeting with Blockbuster and proposed their idea for the video streaming platform, and the Blockbuster execs literally laughed them out of the office. Well, where's Blockbuster now? And where's Netflix now? Blockbuster has become, what do you call it? It's become something more of like an antique. It's more of a nostalgic situation versus them being the powerhouse of video that they used to be. So we're kind of in the midst of it, because no one realizes what's going on while it's happening. They can only see it in hindsight. So we're kind of in the midst of another blockbuster moment taking place, and you're either going to get on the bus or you're going to get left on the bus. So I think, then again, this is me purely speculating, I think what happened was he realized that the bus was leaving. And by the bus leaving, it means my clients are leaving, going to someone or going to a place like Grayscale, who's actually offering the Bitcoin, trust is actually offering it an opportunity to invest in an asset that's is appreciating. On average, Bitcoin is averaging around 200 to 300% return a year. Now, that's on average. And if you look at this year alone, year to date, I think Bitcoin is up over 600% year to date. So the returns is unbelievable, mainly because of the fact that it's such a it's still in its infancy. It hasn't matured yet. Once it reaches, the market cap of gold, once it gets to where it's around $500,000 per coin, the volatility is going to go down a lot. It's going to become a hell of a lot more liquid, and it's just going to be a situation where you're not going to have to. You're not really going to have to worry. It's definitely going to, be more stable. And I think the people like us right now, we're in it early. Even today, even with it being almost $60,000 per coin, we're still early because this thing has a long way to go. And you guys are going to see, 5 years from now, you're going to either be ecstatic that you invested in Bitcoin, or you'll be mad that you didn't invest in Bitcoin when you had the opportunity to. Kind of similar to how the guys were 5 years ago. 5 years ago, you got people today who are like, damn, I wish I hadn't sold my Bitcoin, or I wish I hadn't bought Bitcoin back when it was, $1,000 or $100 or however much it was 5 years ago. They're kicking themselves today. Well, don't be that guy 5 years from now, kicking yourself. Again, not financial advice, just telling you guys what I'm doing and kind of my recommendation on that. Now, moving forward, let's talk about some of the major banks who were basically saying that Bitcoin was going to be dead. It was going to go to zero. The bank that we all talk about is JP Morgan, Chase Bank. We remember back, as you can see the date on that article there, 2017, where the CEO accused Bitcoin of being a fraud. And he was very adamant about Bitcoin being a fraud. Of course, I'm not going to pay Bloomberg subscription fee to read that entire article. But in short, he was extremely adamant about Bitcoin being a scam. And come to find out, he actually got to the point where he was threatening his employees. Let's say anyone that he found out that was operating in Bitcoin, he would actually fire. Now, here's the kicker. We found out later on that while he was making these particular threats to his employees and, putting out all this information, basically scaring people out of the Bitcoin market, he was buying Bitcoin. JP Morgan's been involved in Bitcoin since 2014. We've got plenty of articles that come out saying, where they're actually admitting, well, yeah, we've been in the crypto market. We've, been researching Bitcoin since 2014. Well, here we go. Articles from 2017 saying that it's a fraud. You're gonna fire anybody who you catch working with it. See, all that whole saying of, pay attention to what they do, not what they say. Because if you're paying attention to what they were doing, you would see that behind the scenes they were actually buying into Bitcoin. It was a lot of. I remember I had attended a conference. I was invited to a conference, and there was a billionaire. God, I'm staring at his face. Mike Roberts, real estate mogul. This guy's a genius. Like I learned so much just sitting next to him. Got to actually go out to dinner and sit next to him and listen to him speak. And this was, what was this, 2017. And he actually dropped, without realizing that he actually dropped a little tidbit saying that, he was investing in cryptocurrencies and that this was, the wave of the future. And I think he realized what he had said and he cut himself off right then and there. You're like, but I'm not going to go into, further detail. And he continued on with his speech because he was the keynote speaker. And that's kind of what, got me, like, it planted the seed thinking about, cryptocurrency and things like that. But I say that to say that the wealthy individuals, they've known about this for quite some time and they've been buying it up for quite some time, as much as they can, potentially get their hands on. And in order to do that, especially with an asset that has a fixed cap, we all know there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin in circulation, ever minted. Like there will ever only be in existence. That's the word I was looking for. 21 million Bitcoin. So that gives it a hard cap. Now we know that currently there's over about 18 million in circulation. But we also know that about I think they said about 6 million have been lost and will permanently lost due to people not securing their private keys in the beginning. Because again, when Bitcoin first came out, a lot of people didn't take it seriously. So a lot of the supply is lost, is irretrievable. It's decentralized. There's nobody you can call. There's no customer service number that can unlock the keys to your crypto wallet. So pay attention to what they do, not what they say. Basically what I'm getting at with that one. And moving a step further, what would you look at that? They're planning to offer a Bitcoin fund, JP Morgan of all people. So they're already onboarding crypto exchanges. I think they have accounts currently with certain crypto exchanges. They've become they've done a complete 180 to where they've become very crypto friendly in regards to their policies and things like that on cryptocurrency. And it's more of a situation where when the public finds out about it, they've been in it for quite a long time. You get what I'm saying? So once they've gotten their share of what they feel as though once they've kind of lined their pockets and they feel as though they have enough, then they'll go ahead and tell everybody else about it. But until then, they're going to do what they can to prevent you from getting it. Again, going back to my Dogecoin reference in regards to people telling you, no, don't buy this one, buy that one. That one's much easier to get. Is Elon's talking about it? It's everybody's craze right now. So get that one. Don't pay attention to this one over here. So I kind of feel like that's kind of the mindset that they've kind of taken on in that regard. So moving on, let's talk about going. I want to bounce off of Ray Dalios' comment that we talked about earlier regarding governments banning Bitcoin. So remember I told you guys I was going to focus on the Manila Times article from the 99 Bitcoins, this one here, saying that the Bitcoin inches closer to extinction. Well, let's look at that real quick because that one's very interesting. This article reference is in reference to Turkey. Turkey basically they released I'll call it an executive order, but needless to say, Turkey decided that they're going to ban the use of cryptocurrencies in their country. Now, there's always an agenda behind that. There's always a reason to that. So Turkey is banning cryptocurrency usage in their country, not because they want to protect their citizens. And again, this is me speculating, but there's always some truth to the tinfoil hat. Not because they want to protect their citizens, not because they feel like it's a scam. They're banning cryptocurrencies because their currency is basically inflating away to zero. Like their currency is worthless, is becoming worthless. If you look at the inflation rate of the Turkish lira, it's averaging around 27.98% a year. That's unheard of. So yeah, this scale here for the inflation calculator, it's saying that $100 or 100 lira in 1956, in order to have that exact same purchasing power of the 100 lira from 1956, you currently need 921,861,408 lira in order to match the purchasing power of 100 lira from 1956. Can you believe? Like we all talk about, the inflation rate of the US dollar, which is when I go here, kind of to give an example. So $100 of, 100 US dollars in 1956, and the purchasing power, you currently need $971. So almost $1,000. So it's almost a 10-to-1 inflation rate over that time span. Going back to the lira, dude, you see where I'm going here? That's literally a what did it say? Equivalent, in other words, the purchasing power, which is what I talked about. It's a 921,861. I'm sorry, 921,861,308% increase. What the hell? So, yeah, if your currency is currently in threat, it's already, hell, I'm not gonna say it's losing trust, it's lost trust. Globally, that currency is worthless. So if you're in a situation where your currency is failing and people are fleeing to sound money, i.e. Bitcoin, hell, even stable coins, that are referencing the back to back, I'm sorry, 1-to-1, that are backed by the US dollar. Your entire country is fleeing your own currency. Your currency is collapsing. Yeah, you're going to ban everything that's in competition with your currency. Yeah, you're going to ban the safe havens that the people of your citizens are looking to in order to preserve their wealth. Hell, I mean, geez, man, imagine holding a million lira right now. Guess what you can buy? $100 worth of something. That's unfreaking believable. Venezuela, another great example of that. I left them out of this situation because we don't have any further articles. Venezuela is actually, they actually passed, if I'm not mistaken, they passed legislation to allow Bitcoin mining. They're actually accepting Bitcoin in forms of payment. So, they were in massive hyperinflation where their currency was collapsing, but they decided to jump on the train. And I think they're going to get to the point where they're backing their particular currency in Bitcoin, which would definitely solve their hyperinflation issue. But so that's Turkey. That's the issue with Turkey, banning, quote unquote, Bitcoin, banning cryptocurrencies. Is not because they don't have faith in it or anything. It's because their currency is collapsing. Now let's talk about China. I know we talked about China, the word of the day. So here's the situation. China's been banning Bitcoin since China learned the word Bitcoin. Yeah, years. Every time China ban Bitcoin, then China will not ban Bitcoin. They'll allow it. Now, in contradiction to what, as you can see, these news articles like to tell you in regards to China banning Bitcoin, the problem is China has a high concentration of cryptocurrency mining, Bitcoin mining, to be exact. But they have a high concentration of mining operations that are, running from there. So just pure logic, common sense. 2 + 2 should always equal 4 in any mathematical scenario, regardless of what your word for 2 is or what your word for 4 is. This many plus this many equals this many. Simple as that. If, a huge amount of the hash rate comes out of China, indicating that there are a huge number of mining operations set up in China, do you really think they're in the process of banning something? Chances are no. Also, you can't ban what you don't control. I'm going to get into that a little later on, but there's no central authority. Every time they've, quote unquote, banned um, Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, the price takes a quick dip, but then it immediately skyrockets. All you're doing is opening up opportunity in the black market. That's literally all you're doing, because you're not going to stop anybody from using it. A Bitcoin node, a Bitcoin miner can be set up by anyone, anywhere, at any time. All you need is an internet connection. And hell, you can tether that from your phone. So, and I think, is it, somebody's currently working on launching Bitcoin node satellites. It may be on Starlink or something. Don't quote me on that. I'm just throwing it out there, but I've kind of heard that they're getting it set up to where you can do Bitcoin offline. So good luck, but just talking about, again, some of the FUD articles that come out basically declaring the death of Bitcoin. Every time China bans Bitcoin, oh my God, Bitcoin is going to zero. Turkey announced that they were banning Bitcoin. Oh man, Bitcoin going to zero. All you're doing is trading buying opportunities. People know that. The smart people who are paying attention, they know that these articles come out so that the price can drop a little bit, so they can have the opportunity to buy. The next country, let's talk about India. India's been banning Bitcoin again since they learned the word Bitcoin. Now, India is kind of in the same scenario as Turkey, as to where they're, what is it, a rupee? Um, it's it's not hyperinflating away. It's just not um, maintaining its value. I put it that way. It's not maintaining its purchasing power. Um, so, of course, central banks are being threatened by this new technology that everyone's flocking to, because anyone who is concerned, and I'll say this a million times, I'll say it a million times more, anyone who's concerned with preserving their wealth are going to move their, monetary value over to something that's going to preserve their wealth. Well, at the current moment, Bitcoin is doing twofold. Not only is it preserving your wealth, but it's also increasing your wealth. In the future, I firmly believe that the next trillionaires are going to be made. Well, the first trillionaires are going to be made because of Bitcoin. Because of cryptocurrency, the cryptocurrency market. The people who are holding the most Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, Grayscale. These guys who are buying up billions, not hundreds, not thousands, billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. In the years to come, they're going to be the trillionaires. They're going to be the $1 trillion companies, not assets, companies, not asset classes, companies. It's unbelievable. So anyway, going back to India, yes, India proposed the ban similar to China. 1 week they're banning it. The next week, we never said that. The next week they're banning it again. The next week, we never said that. So, continue on. With this ongoing cycle, it's not going to stop until the fact that there's nothing they can do about it. There's nothing they can do about it, and then we'll get over to kind of what I was telling you about with China. Whenever the government decides that they're going to ban something, if it's already been adopted, good luck, man. Because it is what it is. Like, and we know India's culture is big with gold. They love gold. I think same thing with China. They give it as gifts. Things of that sort. It has deep ties into their culture. So to see an article written, by CoinDesk saying that, India's millennials embrace digital gold despite proposed Bitcoin ban. Well, what's digital gold? Digital gold is Bitcoin, So again, good luck. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say good luck in trying to ban it. At least we get over to my country, the United States. At least they've kind of figured it out. At least when we talk about in the U.S., I think lawmakers, basically what the article says, U.S. lawmakers are realizing they can't ban Bitcoin. Again, going back to my statement, you can't ban something you don't control. And if you were to try to ban it from a regulatory standpoint, all you're going to do is open up the door for a black market. People are going to hold it because they hold it now. Now, another thing too, when we talk about, and this is going back to Ray Dalio, when he was talking about the potential for governments to ban it, i.e. the U.S. government. Well, if you're going to ban something, you generally do it before the largest corporations in your country, some of the largest corporations in the world started investing in it. When we talk about Grayscale buying billions of dollars at a time, we talk about BlackRock, which is the largest investment firm in the world. We talk about these guys potentially, filing for a Bitcoin ETF. When we talk about, so many major corporations, and we know that the United States is a corporation-driven nation. The corporations run the nation. It is what it is. That's how it works. Politicians answer to who signed their checks, and the signer, they couldn't care less about the check that's coming from their government salary, because they're already mega wealthy from donations, from things of that sort. So I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, but we understand how that works. So if you were going to ban something, or at least attempt to ban it, you probably do it before you allow some of the most powerful people in your country to get their hands on it. So I just don't see it happening. And then we go to the next article here where it talks about Hester Pierce. She's known as the mother of crypto, only because of the fact of the position that she holds. She's a director within the SEC. So she has a pretty powerful position. And, when she releases a statement saying, it would be foolish to even attempt to try to ban it. Honest to God, Bitcoin is the virus that, everyone thought the current virus would be, but is it? Like, Bitcoin is that. Bitcoin is destroying different markets, and it's not going to stop. Like, it's, I think I saw a documentary a while back talking about Walmart being a cancer. It's self-sustaining at this point. Like, you can shut down Walmart if you try to, because of how embedded it's become, how large it's become. Walmart is incredible. Amazon is threatening Walmart, so we're looking at the evolution. But as far as logic goes, in the same category, there's certain things that you just can't stop. There's certain things you're just not going to stop. Bitcoin is one of them. So she gets it. She understands, like, in order to shut down Bitcoin, you'd have to shut down the internet. And a lot of people say, well, Bitcoin is dependent upon power. Bitcoin is dependent upon the internet. Well, my response to that is, if the internet goes down, if the entire power grid goes down, we have much bigger problems to worry about than Bitcoin. At that point, civilization as we know it is coming to an end, because we are 100% dependent upon the internet. We're 100% dependent on power. Modern civilization, we're going back to the dark ages at that point. So Bitcoin should be the least of your worries if the internet is completely shut down. If the power grids are completely turned off, I'm not going to be worried about Bitcoin. I'm going to be honest with you. So let me see. One other thing I wanted to talk about as we're wrapping up here is, here's a chart, and it's adjusted, but it shows the previous bull markets, when Bitcoin just kind of exploded. It's adjusted to the 2021 current dollar range values. As they said, the BTC price is scaled to 2021 here on the far left, but it kind of shows you 2011, where it, which is in the turquoise there, kind of how it progressioned on 2013, how it progressioned on 2017. 2021 is in this pinkish color. So for the people who are saying that, Bitcoin's dead, the bull market's over, it's going to crash back down. Well, if you're basing it off past performance, and we know the past doesn't determine the future, but it definitely gives you some really good probability of where the future is going to go. We're not even close to where, that blow off top is here in the middle. That blow off top it's coming. So we have the cycle strength adjusted average, and then we have the regular average in the blue and gray dotted areas. Well, it's showing somewhere around middle of September, that Bitcoin is probably going to tip at around 300,000. Now, that's, again, metrics that are based off of the previous bull cycles. So, we're still, we haven't even eclipsed 70,000 yet. So we're still over here. We still got a long way to go, guys. So, and here's another chart, basically kind of highlighting exactly where we would be in comparison to the entire, this particular entire cycle. So don't let these guys shake you out. Don't let them convince you that, Bitcoin's going to zero, Bitcoin's going to die. It's a tactic that's used in order to convince you, if you have some, to sell, and if you don't have some, to ensure that you won't try to get some. Because I said this before, and I say a lot if you guys haven't noticed, but I've said this and I'll continue to say this, is that, I just lost my thought. So, I honestly, God, I just lost my thought, but it'll come back to me in a second. But needless to say, um, all these are just tactics, because because it has a true cap on its overall supply. The more they can convince you not to get any of it, the more they can get all of it. And we don't want it to be like Bitcoin. Like I said, it's one of the most fairest systems I've ever seen put out. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care what social class you come from. It doesn't care anything about that. It's 100%, 100% open to anyone who has access to a phone, has access to the internet. You can get it. All you have to do is utilize an on-rail. You can buy it. You can get $10 worth, and just continue to go from there. It's I've never seen a situation where something this revolutionary is open to everyone, because most of the time, when we have a potential wealth transfer taking place, or hell, even an early round investment opportunity, it's only going to be available, because of the way that the system is set up. It's only available to a very select group of people, and 9 times out of 10, we're not in that group. So this is an opportunity for us to become a part of that group. Hell, I don't want to be a part of that group, but you get what I'm saying. In essence, like, I don't want to sit at the table with those people, because to me, those are very evil people. People who don't like fair competition. I had a really, really good friend of mine, Will Jackson, who's a very talented poet. I had him on my other podcast, the Words to Be Heard podcast, and we were talking about, we had our disagreement in regards to how he was wanting to basically end the opportunity for people to become billionaires. He was basically saying that he couldn't fathom being a billionaire. I 100% disagree with him on that, because of the fact that um, I don't want to take away the opportunity for people to become billionaires. I want to level the playing field. We need healthy competition, because that's how we innovate. That's how we continue to progress. That's how we continue to move forward. So, if you remove that, if you create a ceiling on people's potential, at that point we become stagnant. We become lazy. We lose our motivation. There's no drive there. You don't want to do that, because you wouldn't want anyone to do that to you. So, I would. I wouldn't take away the ability for people to become billionaires, because what's it? There's a study. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but needless to say, when you put a group of random people together in a room, just by natural laws alone, you're going to have some people that are going to excel. You're going to have some people that are going to, pretty much make their way to the top of the hierarchy. That's just nature. Nothing you can do about that. But when you create a environment to where only a select chosen group of people have the potential to excel to those higher levels, then that's where the problem is. So for me, I don't ever want to destroy the system. All I want to do is make the system fair. Humans don't have the ability to do that, because innately we're going to always look after ourselves and our family members first and foremost. Now, here comes Bitcoin. Here comes, I like Cardano for that same reason. Listening to Charles Hoskinson and the way he's coded Cardano, it has that fairness, because it's in the protocol. It can't be manipulated. It can't be changed. You can't create an unfair advantage for anyone. Everyone comes in and everyone starts at zero, and you have to work your way up. I 100% agree with that. I 100% love that, because it allows the true shiners to shine. I was just watching the documentary that came out about the whole college admissions scandal, where you had these very well off kids who were from affluent families that were literally just buying their way into high level schools. They didn't earn it. Most of them didn't even want to go. They couldn't care less because they were already in a wealthy situation. But they took those spots from people who were truly deserving for no other reason than the system was set up that way. So um, that's why another reason why I'm such a huge advocate for Bitcoin, because it allows people like you, me, who don't have that special access pass to do something great. Now, one more point that I want to make here. I'm gonna go back over. There's a tweet that was put out by Michael Saylor back in December 18th of 2013. And for those of you who don't know Michael Saylor, he was one of the first ones to publicly announce that he was investing a huge portion of his company's MicroStrategy is the name of his company's treasury into Bitcoin. And he gave a 100%. I love his thesis on the research and everything that he did behind making that choice. And today I just watched the gold versus Bitcoin debate that he did with Frank Justra, and to me he destroyed him. But needless to say, here's a tweet that he put out 2013, which was 18 years ago. I'm sorry, 8 years ago. I said 18. Don't question my math skills right now. But he said, and I quote, "Bitcoin's days are numbered. It seems like just a matter of time before it suffers the same fate as online gambling." So even he wasn't a believer in Bitcoin and saw that it was going to go to zero and felt like that. Today, this dude owns billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. I think all in all, he has around 90 over, his company has over 90,000 Bitcoin, totaling over $4.5 billion. So, that's that's definitely what you would call a 180. But it's going to be like that. It's going to continue to be like that until, I guess you could say Bitcoin basically is put in a position where it just has to prove itself, and it's continuing to prove itself. Hell, going over here, I found this little chart. It's not as big as I would like for it to be. Let's see if we can make that a little bit bigger. Actually, it's not making it bigger, it's just making it fatter. Okay. But it looks at the Bitcoin ROI versus traditional assets weighted in US dollars. So year to date, if you're holding Bitcoin for 1 year, you'd be up 612% on your investment if you had bought your Bitcoin a year ago. Gold, you'd only be up 2%. S&P, you'd be up 45%. To people who play in the stock market, that's a hell of an investment. That's a hell of a return to be up 45%. You've almost doubled your money, but think about this, 612%. You 7 extra money just by holding Bitcoin. And, it goes back all the way down to where if you have, for those who invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago, they'd be up, over 1.5 million%. See, that's crazy. It's just freaking insane. Goes back to why a lot of those clients who, were pulling their money from Ray Dalio's firm, they were looking at these numbers too. I'm pretty confident they were looking at these numbers too, saying, what the hell? You're investing in gold. Gold's only made me 38% over the past 2 years. Bitcoin would have made me almost 1,000% over the past 2 years. I would have 10x my money. Come on, man. What are we doing here? It's all a numbers game. People want to not only preserve their wealth, but grow their wealth. So, that's all I got for you guys in regards to Bitcoin dying. I'm glad you guys joined me. I see, as we do with all of our Crypto Talk Tuesdays, I like to finish it out with a Q&A. And I see that Jesse had a couple of questions that he wanted to ask. And I also see that Chantel has her hand raised also, that she wants to ask a question. But Jesse put, so let me ask you, Jesse, do you want to just say your question out? Do you want to actually speak? I can give you talking access. Hold on, let's do that. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. Good to hear from you again. Long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, man. Let me start off by saying how proud of you I am, dude. Like, we come a long way since my days at Ohio State. You become a family man. My brother got married. So over there really doing your thing, man. I'm proud of you, man.
I'm trying, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, no doubt, man. All right. So what you got for me, bro?
So first, I guess for those who don't have capital to invest in Bitcoin completely, what would you suggest? And can you buy fractions?
Yeah, you can definitely buy fractions. And that's what I was talking about a little earlier. I know I got long-winded in my explanations, but you can start with as little as $10 in Bitcoin. For people who are very, very new to the Bitcoin, the crypto market, Cash App, the easiest on-ramp you will ever use. They allow you to buy Bitcoin, and you can actually set it up on a schedule. Say if you want to put $10 a week, I'm just throwing a random number out there, you can do that, and it will actually hold it for you while you're continuing to gain the knowledge in order to learn how to custody it yourself. So yeah, you can definitely buy fractions of a Bitcoin.
Okay. And then, do you see Ethereum following a similar path, or because it's kind of getting hyped up right now? So I was wondering if it was gonna have the same outcome or not.
Oh man, Ethereum's kicking ass. And I say that because of the fact I'm heavily invested in Ethereum. Those are my Bitcoin, Ethereum, my 1 and 2 holdings.
Okay.
So with Ethereum, you know how I describe Bitcoin as like the digital gold, like it's the store of value. So think of Ethereum as like think of it, if I'm comparing it to commodities, think of it as oil. It's like the supercomputer that is needed in order to drive this new engine that's growing. So Ethereum is like the platform. It provided a platform. It's kind of like the new internet. Just to say it in the most simplest way possible. It's not the actual new internet because they're working on Web3, but Ethereum is one of those rails that the new internet is being built on. So,
Okay.
Ethereum, for this particular cycle, I personally am looking at Ethereum getting to at least 10K, per coin.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of my low end estimate. Yeah.
Okay, because that's what I had heard. I was talking to someone and they said it might hit 10K by the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, Ethereum and Bitcoin, those are very long term plays. You know what I'm saying? Like you're investing in them and that's what you're gonna retire on. At least that's how, I that's how I envision them. Those are my retirement accounts. I'm never gonna sell my Bitcoin. I'm never gonna sell my Ethereum. Worse, the most I will do is use them as collateral whenever I need, dollars or whatnot. I'll use those as collateral, take out loans against them, very low leverage loans, 20% loan to value, and just let them pay for themselves, because they're going to always accrue value, especially with focusing on Ethereum, in the short term, they got that EIP 1559 coming out, which is going to increase the number of transactions that it can handle as well as lower gas fees. Okay. So, it's looking to explode in transaction volume once that happens. And then you got ETH2, which is set to come out, in the next year or so. So Ethereum's got some major, it's got some major pump in it. So that, for me, like I said, that's a hell of an investment. Like I say, it's my number two coin.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, man, good talking to you, bro. Thanks for joining, man.
Thank you, man.
No doubt.
Problem.
No
I
doubt.
appreciate it, man.
All right, man. So now I'm gonna switch over. I got Chantel that has her hand raised. So let's go ahead and get her up and going. Hey, Chantel. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. It says you're muted right now.
Better?
Yeah, much better. How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. So before I ask my question, can I make one request?
Yeah, most definitely.
You should back up and let us see your shirt.
See the Crypto Scholars? Hold on, let me move the microphone a little bit. See the Crypto Scholars shirt right there?
Yeah,
buddy. All right.
All right, to my question. So And I probably asked you this a long time ago, but when you were talking about the different governments' currency devaluing, so when we buy cryptocurrency, we're buying it with fiat money, right? And when we buy it from an exchange, what are they doing with this steadily devaluing money? Like, are they sitting on it? Are they using that to purchase other assets? What are they doing with that money?
Well, I don't know 100% because, I don't have back office access to the exchanges. What I'm pretty confident they would be doing, especially what I would be doing if I had, excess cash, is the same thing that, Michael Saylor did with my MicroStrategy. Generally, they reinvest it. They may be reinvesting it in crypto. Of course, they're going to be using it to take care of their operating costs, but they may be investing in real estate. They may be expanding their operations, bringing on new staff or anything like that. But I'm pretty confident they're not just sitting on top of that, because they understand that by just holding dollars in a savings account, by holding dollars in the account, inflation is eating it away. It's definitely losing purchasing power. So those guys are much smarter than me. So if I'm under the mindset of I refuse to let dollars sit in my account because it's losing its purchasing power, I'm pretty confident they're doing the same thing.
Okay, that was it.
All right. Well, thank you much. I appreciate it. And I want to thank everyone again for tuning in. I want to thank you guys for joining also, and with your questions, great questions. Hopefully I was able to give some really good answers, and I'm looking forward to talking to you guys next Tuesday on the next Crypto Talk Tuesday. And one more thing before we say goodbye, let me go ahead and bring up where we at, because I got to get it out of the way. I got to tell my disclaimer, which I should have said in the beginning of the video, but as we always know, this is not financial advice. So the information contained herein is for informational purposes only. Nothing shall be construed to be financial, legal, or tax advice. The content of this video is solely the opinions of me, Mario Johnson. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, nor is Crypto Scholars a licensed financial we're not registered in any way, shape, or form to give financial advice, legal advice, or tax advice. We do not guarantee, I myself nor Crypto Scholars guarantees any particular outcome. So just kind of had to get that out the way before I told you guys good night. So as always, I hope this was very informative. I hope this really helped you guys continue on in your crypto journey. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great evening. Thanks for coming.